COP28 में जस्ट एनर्जी ट्रांजिशन पार्टनरशिप्स के बारे में हमने चर्चा की थी. तो ये है क्या? These are multilateral initiatives designed to accelerate the transition from fossil fuels to clean energy in developing countries, ensuring that the shift is both environmentally sustainable and socially equitable. These partnerships emerged in response to the global need for coordinated efforts in tackling climate change, while also considering the economic and social impacts of the energy transition, especially in coal dependent nations. JETP are framed around the idea of a just transition, which means that while phasing out fossil fuels, countries must also protect workers, communities, and sectors reliant on the traditional energy industries, ensuring that no one is left behind in the shift toward renewables. What are the key objectives? Number one, decarbonization. JETPs aim to reduce carbon emissions by accelerating the transition to renewable energy sources like wind, solar, hydropower, while gradually moving away from coal, oil, and natural gas. Number two, equitable transition. These partnerships ensure that the energy transition is just by safeguarding the livelihoods of workers and communities that depend on fossil fuel industries. They emphasize job creation, skills development, and social protection for those affected. Number three, financial support. JETPs provide financial assistance from developed nations and international institutions to help developing countries manage the economic costs of transitioning to cleaner energy. This often includes grants, loans, technical assistance to support energy infrastructure development, capacity building, and policy reforms. Number four, energy security and affordability. These partnerships ensure that the energy transition does not compromise energy security or make electricity unaffordable for developing nations. Clean energy must be accessible and affordable for all, especially vulnerable populations. Notable just energy transition partnerships. Number one, South Africa COP26. The first JETP was announced during COP26 in 2021 for South Africa, one of the world's most coal dependent countries. South Africa's JETP is supported by a coalition of developed countries, including the United States, United Kingdom, Germany, France, and the European Union. The partnership involves an initial commitment of $8.5 billion in grants and concessional loans to help South Africa transition away from coal, focusing on decarbonizing its electricity sector, expanding renewables, and promoting economic development for affected workers and regions. Number two, Indonesia COP27. At COP27 in 2022, Indonesia became the second country to enter a JETP agreement. Indonesia's partnership, backed by developed nations, will mobilize $20 billion over the next 3 to 5 years to support the country's transition from coal to renewable energy. The funds will be used to accelerate the closure of coal plants, ramp up investments in solar energy, and improve the country's grid infrastructure to integrate renewable sources. Indonesia's JETP highlights the need to balance economic growth with sustainability in fast developing nations. Number three, Vietnam. Vietnam also joined the JETP framework at COP27 with a focus on shifting from coal to solar and wind energy. Vietnam's JETP aims to mobilize $15.5 billion in public and private finance over the next few years. The partnership includes commitments to reduce peak coal emissions and to cap coal capacity by 2030. aligning Vietnam with its broader goal of achieving net zero emissions by 2050. Structure and financing. JETPs are based on financial and technical collaborations between number one, developed nations. They provide financial contributions, grants, and concessional loans to support the energy transition in partner countries. Number two, private sector. Significant investments come from private companies and international financial institutions. This includes green finance initiatives to promote the development of renewable energy infrastructure. Number three, multilateral development banks. Multilateral development banks, such as the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund, often play a critical role in providing technical support, concessional financing, and policy advice. Challenges and opportunities. Number one, financial commitment. While large sums have been pledged, the challenge lies in translating these commitments into actual funding flows and ensuring the money is effectively used for energy transition. Number two, balancing economic growth. Many developing countries, especially those reliant on fossil fuels like coal, face the challenge of balancing their economic growth with environmental sustainability. The JETP seeks to create a pathway where countries can still grow economically while transitioning to cleaner energy sources. Number three, social justice. Ensuring that the transition is socially just is crucial. Affected communities and workers need to be retrained and reintegrated into the new green economy, which is not always straightforward. The partnerships must carefully manage the social and economic disruption caused by closing coal mines and fossil fuel plants. The future of JETPs. As the world moves toward the ambitious goals set in the Paris Agreement and strives to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius, JETPs are expected to play a growing role in global climate diplomacy. Following the initial successes in South Africa, Indonesia, and Vietnam, it is likely that more countries, especially those in the global south, will be brought into the JETP framework. Future JETPs may expand into other sectors like transport, industry, agriculture, aiming to decarbonize entire economies rather than focusing solely on the energy sector. The success of JETPs will largely depend on continued international cooperation, increased financial commitments from developed nations, and the ability to scale up green technologies and clean energy solutions. To conclude, just energy transition partnerships represent a new approach to tackling climate change that focuses on both reducing emissions and ensuring that the energy transition is equitable and inclusive. By providing financial and technical assistance to developing countries, JETPs aim to foster a more sustainable and just global energy future. As climate challenges become more pressing, JETPs are set to play a critical role in helping countries phase out coal and other fossil fuels while protecting jobs and promoting economic growth. Happy learning. Thank you.